do you accept that the payments that were made by Tamiz to Lutaga were payments made to circumvent a SAPS preservation order operating against Mr. Maumela?
SAPS?
Sorry, a SARS preservation order against Mr. Maumela.
Look, I didn't know what was preserved by SARS. I had no idea what was preserved by SARS. Whether the sale was before or after, I was not aware. So when he asked me, I did it. I paid him his money. It was his money.
But your evidence was that he asked you, explaining that his assets were preserved, but that Lutaga was nominally his sister's company, and that you could pay into his sister's company and he would control the funds that went there.
I never said that he told me. He said he has problems with SARS. He never disclosed that he has a preservation order. He said to me he has problems with SARS.
So you weren't aware that there was a preservation order, is your version now?
I only saw the preservation order from your file.
He read in the media, he read certain things in the media.
We'll come back to this if we need to. The record will speak for itself in this regard. There are other questions I want to ask you in relation to Mr. Maumela.
Before you move on, Mr. Shasso, I don't know whether you are still to go back to the 500,000 that was paid to Lutaga.
Yes, we are going to come back
You're
to
going
that.
to come.
We are going to go back to
Let
that.
me wait then, perhaps.
For now, you say you read in the media that Mr. Maumela had problems with SARS.
In March.
March 2024.
Yes.
Yes. Did you read in the same media that Mr. Maumela was alleged to have been involved in fraud at Tembisa? There were these allegations against.
Yes.
And you were aware of those allegations from March 2024?
Yes.
Can we come back to the 500,000 that you pay Lutaga in February 2025?
Yeah. Yes.
At this stage, February 2025, you've just been paid the first 1.5 million of 20 million that Mr. Matlala owes you. You're nodding? That's yes.
Yes. Yes.
You are anxious that Mr. Matlala is way behind where he should be in paying you.
Yes.
You are aware that there are press reports of a preservation order against Mr. Maumela.
Yes.
You are aware that there are press reports linking Mr. Maumela and Mr. Matlala to widespread fraud at Tembisa Hospital.
I was aware of that much, yes, at that time, yes.
You are aware that the same press reports link them to the possible murder of Babita Deokaran.
Yes, they were not charged for that, yes.
But there were press reports
Yes.
raising those allegations, right? Why in those circumstances did you choose to pay 500,000, 1/3 of what your first payment was, to Mr. Maumela?
Like I said, Council, before, Mr. Matlala put a lot of pressure. He wanted me to pay 750. And once I saw these newspaper articles, I did not want to get into their crosshairs. And when I looked at these articles, I said to Mr. Matlala, it's fine. I can't pay 750. What I'll do is I'll pay 500. I cannot do 750.
Why did you pay anything at all? This man owed you money, large amounts of it.
Yes, but there were more invoices coming, and he promised me that on the next payments, he'd do good and give me a top-up on that. So,
You understood yourself to have an agreement with Mr. Matlala that he would repay you 20 million rands out of invoices
Over 3 years.
over 3 years.
Correct.
You were worried that he wasn't doing that.
Yes.
And yet you choose, when you first get paid, to give up a third of your payment.
Yes, because we had another 20 million rand worth of invoices, or he had another 20 million rand of invoices that needed to go in for payment. And he promised to do good on that.
How did you know he had another 20 million rands worth of invoices?
He told me.
And what evidence did he provide in that regard?
He sent me the purchase orders, all these documents that, there's a whole lot of purchase orders that were here. That was proof that he had money still outstanding to him.
Those purchase orders, those long, long lists of purchase orders, were sent in April.
Yes, but he had not delivered on them.
He had not delivered on them.
I mean, these are previously to these purchase orders, he had more purchase orders. He had a lot of purchase orders. Mr. Matlala had a lot of purchase orders. Hence, in January, he needed more cash to deliver on those purchase orders.
Which purchase orders had he sent you by February when you chose to pay 500,000 to Mr. Maumela?
It was these that were going to come. He knew these were coming.
He may have known that they were going to come, but he hadn't sent them to you, had he?
No, we spoke about them.
You spoke about them. So Mr. Matlala told you, don't worry, I'm getting more purchase orders.
Yes.
And why did you not say to Mr. Matlala, you can pay Mr. Maumela out of your share of
I
the
did
money
do
that
that,
is coming?
Council. I did. I, on several occasions, told him that he can pay him on his own. He just requested, and he just kept on asking, and then I agreed to do that.
Mr. Carrim, you don't strike me as someone who just lets business partners walk all over him if they request.
Mr. Chancellor, you raised a very important issue. You fingered these two individuals on a murder. You just said that a few minutes ago. So I read this in the media. Yes, I'm a businessman. Yes, I have a family. I have people to protect. I've got kids. At that moment in time, I did not know whether these rumors are true or not.
Well, that's an answer that I can accept, Mr. Carrim. But we'd have saved a lot of time if you had come up and set out with that answer right at the beginning. If your answer is you thought that you might be dealing with a murderer, so you didn't want to say no to him, well, then that's an answer I can accept. Is that your answer?
I'm saying alleged, you know. These stories were in the media. I'm not saying he is. I'm saying I read. So, yes, I was afraid of that.
So you're saying now that in addition to his asking and asking and asking as a reason for paying 500,000 to Mr. Maumela's chosen payee, Mr. Matlala's chosen payee, Mr. Maumela, you also had some misgivings that the media reports may be true and that you may need to say yes to protect yourself and your family.
Yes.
My concern about that answer is that all of these press reports we were talking about had been circulating broadly since April 2024. So why did you go into business with Mr. Matlala in June 2024 if you'd seen all of those reports?
Like I said, it was at the back of my mind. Now, when our own police, South African Police Service, that must be there to protect us, give Mr. Matlala a contract of 360 million rand, who am I to vet Mr. Matlala when our own police services awarded this man a contract of 360 million? So if he was that dodgy character, why would SAPS then award him a contract for 360 million.
Well, Mr. Carrim, I don't find that answer convincing either, because one of your recurrent refrains here is that Mr. Matlala is constantly looking for people who have connections within the SAPS and within the ministry to exercise influence over his contract.
Chair, I might be mistaken. I don't recall this witness giving that evidence.
Yes, I didn't.
Sorry. You believed,
Oh, Mr. Shaskalson, you,
I'll rephrase it. You believed that if Mr. Matlala thought that you could influence the SAPS and you could influence the minister, you would be more likely to pay you.
I did say that. But clearly, Mr. Matlala was much more connected in the SAPS than me.
Yes, but the corollary of believing that Mr. Matlala was interested in people who could influence the police must have been a suspicion that Mr. Matlala was looking to manipulate processes within the police and the ministry.
Council, you'll have to ask him about that. I can't comment on him.
Yes, but in response to your answer that you were reassured that the police themselves had given Mr. Matlala this contract, so you felt, notwithstanding the reports, that you could go into business with him. I want to put to you that you should have anticipated that there was a possibility that Mr. Matlala had manipulated the processes within the police.
I was not part of that process, Council.
I'm not saying that you were part of that process. I'm saying you should have anticipated that he was part of that process.
Council, when someone brings you an appointment letter, you don't question the appointment letter. I did not know if there was anything untoward done in that process. I didn't know.
And not only do you enter into a contract with him, or you enter into an agreement with him, but you advance him 10 million rands without a written contract. Why did you do that?
There was a draft agreement set in place. There was a funding agreement set in place. We'd agreed that the funding agreement would be signed after the SLA.
This is the first time you've mentioned this draft funding agreement. Does a copy of this thing still exist?
Yes.
Again, I'd ask that that gets sent through to the Commission. But I come back to my earlier question. Are you in the habit of advancing 10 million rands to relative strangers without any written agreement, never mind any security?
At that moment in time, when I met Mr. Matlala, we drew up the agreements. He had the award letter. We then agreed that I'd nominate someone to get onto the bank from my office, which we did, just so that we could get the SLA and then get the funding agreement signed. So we appointed someone from my office onto the bank for notifications as security for releasing funds.
Sorry, you appointed someone?
Yes, from my office. Mr. Matlala allowed me to bring someone and nominate them onto the bank account.
Onto the bank account of Medicare 24?
Correct.
Why hadn't you mentioned that earlier?
We're talking about it now, Council.
That's not my question. Why hadn't you mentioned it earlier?
You're asking about an agreement or any security, so I had someone on the bank account.
You were asked to explain your relationship with Medicare 24. Did you not think it was relevant to know that you had someone with signing powers over their bank
It
account?
was not signing powers, Council. So it was just notification for the initial stage.
Sorry, notification?
Meaning he's appointed, so any funds coming in, any funds going out, we'd get the notifications of that.
Yes. And who was that person?
Mr. Ziad Khair,
Can you spell that?
Ziyaad.
Mr. Ziad who?
Khair, Khair.
And he received notification of all movements on the account of Medicare 24.
Yes, let me elaborate, Council. That lasted not more than a month. Mr. Khair was removed. I then contact Mr. Matlala and ask him,
Removed by whom?
you know, I called, it had to be removed by the owner of the account, obviously. I then call him and ask him what's going on. He then says to me, look, I need someone else. I need an accountant. Can you get me an accountant? Can you get me a CV of someone that's capable? I agree. I then call a friend of mine from Pulukwani, Mr. Faik Mohammed.
Please,
Mr.
please
Fa-
spell the name.
Faaik, and then Mohammed. Mr. Faik comes with his CV. He goes to Medicare 24. He has a meeting with Mr. Matlala and Mr. Van Wyk. They then agree to appoint him on their board, which is every Monday, bi-weekly. Mr. Faik must attend these meetings, and they would then remunerate him. They pay him for these services. We agree, Mr. Faik gets appointed. They agree on a remuneration. Mr. Faik sits on this board every Monday for invoicing. That lasts for a month again. Mr. Faik doesn't get paid, he gets removed. He just doesn't get invited to meetings again. Call Mr. Matlala again, he says, no, you know, Mike's got this problem, Mike's got that problem, Mr. Van Wyk's got this problem, but from all the correspondence between Mr. Mohammed and the board, Mr. Mohammed was doing his work. There's chats between Mr. Mohammed and the board of Mr. Mohammed's work that he has to do. But Mr. Mohammed was also removed and not paid. When I raised this with Mr. Matlala, he kept on saying, no, we'll sort it out. And at that time, events were getting up to us because now I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid. My people are getting removed. I'm putting pressure on him to pay. He needs to deliver. And I want him to sign the funding agreement. He kept on saying, yes, we'll sign the agreement, get the SLA. I finally get a copy of the SLA. I call him, and he kept on saying, we'll get the funding agreement signed, but the funding agreement never got signed.
Again, this is new information for us, so I just want to get a few particulars. When was Mr. Ziad Khair put on to notifications, and when was he removed?
Council, sometime in July, early July. I think
Was that his appointment or his removal?
his appointment.
And he was removed approximately a month later.
I think a month later, yes.
And Mr. Mohammed was then notionally appointed to the board. Would that have been in August?
No, much later.
Much later.
Yeah,
So there was an interregnum period when you had nobody.
August, he submitted his CV around August, September, somewhere around there he submitted his CV.
And you say he lasted on the board approximately a month.
Yeah, just over a month. He attended a few meetings and they never called him back for any other meetings.
So when was he nominally on the board, if you were to give us a start date and an end date?
September, sometime mid-September to October. I'd have to check.
So September, October is what you're looking at.
Yeah, I speak under correction, Council. I need to check this.
Please do, and maybe overnight if you can get us some exact dates on those. And if I understood you correctly, although Mr. Matlala had asked for Mr. Mohammed to be there, he effectively gave Mr. Mohammed no access to the affairs of the company.
He did have some access in the beginning. He did. He did have some access in the beginning.
What did you understand that access to be?
From what I understood, he would have some access into the banking system of Medcare 24. I speak under correction, but he had some access into the system of Medcare 24 or the banking.
So he could look to a certain degree into transaction records,
Yes, I
is
think,
what you understood.
yes.
But then possibly in October, that access was removed.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the dates, but he was also removed. We just have to get
Yes.
the correct timelines on the dates, yes, but he was removed.
And after his removal, was there anybody else who was given access at your instance?
I asked, but nothing was done.
Were you not at this stage starting to get rather suspicious of your business partner?
Yes, I was.
So by the end of October, you are concerned that your business partner is not only someone who's alleged to have been involved in tender fraud and possibly murder, but he's also someone who seems not to want to give you access to his accounts.
Yeah, we just have to get the dates correct. Could be later in October. So,
And in that context, would it be fair to say that the only reason, or that the primary reason why you paid 500,000 rands to Mr. Maumela at the instance of Mr. Matlala was that you were scared?
yes.
And there was one further payment.
Before you move on, Mr. Chairperson, I hear that you say you were scared, but I'm interested to know if you ever asked Mr. Matlala why he had not paid the 750,000 directly to Mr. Maumela. Why did he want this to be done through you or by you?
Yes, Commissioner, I asked him on several occasions that why don't you just pay him yourself from Medcare 24? He just said no, he can't do it from Med 24, he has to do it by me, I must help him, please, he can't do it from Med 24. But I said, you have signing powers on Med 24. You just have to process it from Med 24. But he kept on insisting that I do it from my vehicle.
That doesn't make sense to me. Did it make sense to you?
At that time, Council, it didn't make sense. Hence, I'm saying I continued to say to him, I can't do this. He continued to persist and say, please help me.
And moving on to the removals of the two people you referred to, you may have dealt with it. You'll tell me if you've done so already. What exactly were the reasons given for the removal of your two people?
Commissioner, on the first one, he just said to me, no, he needs someone that has more accounting experience. Just not anybody, admin person. So I said, okay, that's fine, that's justifiable.
But this was more for you and not for him. It was you that wanted to see the flows into and out of the account. It
Correct.
was not for his benefit, so it doesn't make sense to me that he should have insisted on somebody that has accounting knowledge. So, can you make me understand? I just don't.
Yeah, I asked him, why must this person be removed? Why do you need someone that's got accounting experience? He then explained to me, no, this person now that's got the accounting experience needs to sit on his Monday meeting, board meetings, where actual invoices are discussed that must go in and follow the trail of payment. So he needed someone that had knowledge, accounting knowledge. That was his reason.
But for your purposes, I mean, you were satisfied to see that money had flown in, money was going out or had gone out. You were satisfied with
I was
that,
satisfied
which
with
is-
that, Council.
Which is why you had set that system up in the first place, not so?
Correct. I was satisfied
So-
with that.
So for you, what you said must have been unacceptable if you were happy with what you had set up, correct?
I did raise my concerns. I did say to him, there's no reason to remove this guy.
No, I'm asking you, you were satisfied with what you had set up, correct?
Yes.
So why did you allow him to tell you about the need for someone with accounting knowledge? Why did you agree to that?
He has overall powers on that account, so even if I stage my protest, he can remove that person.
I understand that, that's something else altogether. But about you, why did you agree to that? Because what you had set up was satisfactory for your purposes.
I didn't agree. I didn't agree, but he still removed the person.
But did you reason with him?
Yes.
Along the right lines?
I tried to reason, he'd already removed the person and then requested another person.
All right, now he's got, or you've given him someone with accounting knowledge, and why was that one removed?
When I went back to him, he said, Mr. Van Wyck's got issues with this guy. I said, can you give me proper, what are the issues? Because this guy works under Van Wyck, and he's not a problem. He's not a troublesome person. He's a young man. He knows what his job is. He knows what he must do. So somehow or the other, he said to me, Mr. Van Wyck didn't like Mr. Mohammed. Didn't take a liking for Mr.
Were
Mohammed.
you told what problems Mr. Van Wyk had with him?
Yeah, he said Fike is always late for meetings, but when I talk to Fike, he's always on time. He was at the meetings regularly. He was on time, he was at the meetings regularly.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Carrim, so this loan is advanced in June. In fact, the first payment, according to your statement, is on the 26th of June. You need to speak up for that.
Yes, yes, Commissioner.
Yes. So the first person that you appointed to be a co-signatory to the account, that you nominated to the account, they would have been appointed when and removed when? You said for about a month.
July.
So they were removed in July.
No, he was appointed end of June, beginning of July. And we'll just have to check, but
Yes.
there is records, definitely.
Okay. And immediately after they were removed, another one was appointed, Mr. Mohammed was
Yes.
appointed. And
Yeah,
you
Mr.
say
Mohammed was appointed at Medcare 24, at the offices.
on the board.
Yes.
So he's not a signatory, he's not a signatory to the account.
We need to check what access he had. I'm sure we can find out what access he had and to what extent was his access, yes.
Yes. My interest really is you've put in 10 million rand into this business or this transaction. Well, it's into the business. What they do with it is to service. That's what you say. Mr. Matlala said to you he needed it to service the tender, but it is into the business Medicare. You've put in 10 million. You expect a return of 10 million rand, so a total of 20 million rand. How is it that you accept that the people that you have nominated so that they are your eyes, you say they are there to see as money comes in, so that they're your eyes. When they are removed, you leave it be. That's the end of the matter. How do you explain that?
No, it wasn't end of the matter, Council. I insisted that I need explanations as to why these people are removed, first of all. And I said to him, it's unacceptable. I said to him, we had an agreement And when he removed Mr. Fike, I mean, there was not an altercation, but we exchanged some harsh words. He did not even remunerate Mr. Mohammed for the services that he produced. He didn't pay him. And I said to him, but it's not fair. We had an agreement. And then I kept on insisting that I need to put Mr. Mohammed back onto this board. He said to me, no, when he restructures the board, Mike is, as the CEO, Mike will now step aside and Mr. Mohammed can come back.
Did he come back, Mr. Mohammed?
We tried on many occasions. Mr. Mohammed has messages between himself and people that were sitting on the board, kept on asking them, when can I come? Send me the link. Can you send me the link for the meetings? Nothing transpired out of
Yes,
that.
so at some point, Mr. Mohammed stops being on this board, and that's really what I would like to get to. At which point does he stop being on this board, and you do not, after that, you have no representative on this board where
It
you've
was
put in a
around,
huge investment
December, end of December,
of 2024?
yes.